Welcome, everyone. My name is Paul Schmidt. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Whitria, the makers of Sapio 365. I'm joined by Sonia Benarjian, who is our product specialist and is going to take you through our demos of the exciting things you can do with Sapio 365. Thank you all for attending. We called this webinar Better in Bulk because that's what Sapio 365 is. We allow you to make mass changes to all the Microsoft 365 users and groups and licenses and all those things that you've been needing to use admin centers for. Here's what we'll kind of cover today. Why would you use an alternative? Well, there are, as you probably noticed, some limitations to the admin centers, probably especially when it comes time to making bulk changes. There's always PowerShell, but PowerShell has its own set of issues, and it's a little bit cumbersome to use. And we'll show you some unique concepts that we have, because the goal is you see everything about your Microsoft 365 world, you find your issues, and then you preview it and you fix it, and then you make those changes. We'll look at mass updating properties. How do you change passwords for users on bulk? How do you change a property? How do you change their manager? All the different things that you might need to do. In our example that Sonia will show you, we'll give an example of how to put an owner on Teams that's got less than 2 owners, because Microsoft suggests that Teams have at least 2 owners. One of my favorites, how to update users from a file. In Sapio 365, we let you do a lot of stuff from a file. So if HR gave you a spreadsheet and you'd like to use that, we'll make that easy. And then we'll take a look at what we call jobs, one of my favorite kind of workflows we have. And one of them is called offboarding. There's a lot of steps to think about when you offboard a user. Let's take a look at how to make that easier. Our first topic of why would you use an alternative? It's because there's so many admin centers, and they're not really made for bulk actions. They're made for you to go in and fix one little thing, and that's it. And PowerShell's good, but you have to have some skills with it. It's not really comfortable to just grab a script off the internet and try it. And if you try it, then you still got to tweak it for your needs. And then when you run it, you hope for the best because it just does its thing. We give you a much more global way to see this and see what's happening along the way. So we like to look at some use cases here. So how are you going to use Sapio 365? So we'll show you how you can see everything. Then you're going to isolate your issue, and then you're going to fix it. In this example, Sonia is going to show us how to make a Microsoft 365 license cost report, which is something everyone's concerned with. One of my favorite things to do is take the license from the blocked users to recover some of that. And then let's make a weekly report to keep track of what we're doing. Sonia, give us a demo, if you would, of our first use case, how to manage Microsoft 365 licenses, please.
Sure, let me share my screen. All right, so you should be able to see Sapio 365. Let me just move this over here. Okay, so what you see in front of you, everyone, is Sapio 365. The first thing that you see once you download Sapio 365, and by the way, Sapio 365 is a desktop app. Therefore, you just download it, register, and you log in with your credentials, and you're ready to go. It takes less than 5 minutes, and really there's nothing to prepare or anything. There's no downtime. So once you start up Sapio 365, this is the first point of contact. And what you see in front of you is the dashboard and your main points of entry, basically users, groups, SharePoint sites, various devices, and so on. And the numbers over here give you like an indication of your current situation in terms of your data. And they also serve like a filtered point of entry as well. For the current thing that the current use case that I'm going to show, basically creating a licensing report, let me start with my full list of users in this case. So once I click on this, I will see my full list of users. And regardless of how many user accounts you have, you will load them all. There's no pagination involved. This is not like, in the portal where if you have more than 50, you have to basically keep scrolling to load more and more. Here you get everything, and it's all at your fingertips. And what you see here, the columns represent the properties of the user accounts. And these are just some of the properties. If I want to see more of them, let me select somebody here. So let's say Adele. And if I click on the right side, I will see categories of properties that are available. And notice that we've got information about the user, we've got information about their mailbox, their MFA, what methods they have, and so on, and even about the OneDrive, how much storage they're using here. So what this is just to show you that what Sapio 365 does, it brings all the information into one place. And this is in contrast to, let's say, the portals, the Microsoft 365 portal, where all the different admin centers, you basically have to go into one admin center for one type of data and dig into another one for another type of data. So once you have this all here, you can easily add any information you need here. So for example, if I want to add department, I'll just type it over here. And I just click on this icon here and it gets added to the grid. And if I don't want it anymore, I want to clean it up. Once you add so many, you can just drag and drop it and it will clean up everything. So let's say you have this like this, and you'll notice that there's a unit cost that we have here. Basically, this is something that you set in Sapio 365 for each license that you have. Everybody pays a different price. So really, it's up to you whether you want to put in a monthly price or a yearly price, euros or dollars. Doesn't really matter. It's what you make of it. And so with this information that we have set, we can easily create a license cost report. And what we do is, well, first of all, you'll notice that we have blocked and allowed here. So well, let's put a filter, and so that we only look at our blocked accounts. So just by right-clicking on this, I'll use a value filter, and I'll uncheck the allowed, and now you have blocked. And let's say if your cost your license cost report, you want it to be categorized by the department per se. So what you do is you can easily group it by dragging and dropping to the left this time. So now you have a categorization by department for each user. And in fact, you can go even further and add a total for each category. So here we've got tools here. So here you've got a whole bunch of tools, like imagine the advanced section of Excel basically. And so in this case, you have like a sum that you can add for your categories, and you get this number that appears as totaling up everything, the cost of the licenses beneath each category. So if I shift minus it to collapse everything, you get a nice summary of how much your blocked licenses are costing you per department. If I expand it, then I get a little bit more information about who's actually in there and who's got these licenses. Now, let's say for the next part, because we want to recover these licenses, right? Because they're costing money. So what we'll do is right straight from here, we can actually select the users. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to use the people here in marketing. And if I come back here to my manage section, well, I've got all the tools I need to manage licenses, and manage anything really, manage content. It's all in this section over here. So I can manage the groups that these people belong to, the licenses, their OneDrive files, messages, and so on. And in this section, I can actually manage the accounts themselves. So whether to bulk update, let's say the marketing, if I want to change the marketing name or anything, I can just do that as well. and creation. But for this use case, let's look at getting those licenses. All right, so now we've selected them, and let's get their licenses here. Okay, so now you have each user and the licenses that they have underneath. And Alma, if you want to just remove them, you just Control-A to select them all. And you click on Edit Licenses. Now, of course, you may have way more licenses here than in this demo environment. And, if you have several of them, you're not going to click on each one to close them. This would be a little too manual. We like to automate things with Sapio 365. So we have a little button here that basically removes everything. And once you click on Apply, once you click on Apply, then you get to see a preview of the changes. So this is another principle of Sapio 365, is that once you've found the data that you want to change, you've used various filters and everything, the next step, and when you want to change it, bulk edit basically, you get to see the changes that you're doing before you actually commit them. So it's in contrast to anything you do in the portal, really, and of course PowerShell as well, where you're really going in blind. So here, once you have this, then you can look over, you can say, okay, well, I may change my mind. Maybe Matthew should still keep his licenses. So what I'll do is I'll say undo, remove this flag, and you see that the the status indicator has been removed. And so now I can, if I save all, it's going to send the information to the server and everything has been removed. Now I can check this. If I go back to my view with my marketing users here, with the people in marketing, all I need to do is really do a refresh. And you'll notice the licenses are gone, except for Matthew, because we removed the whole the flag for change for him. So that's how simple it is to make a change. Now, if you like this view, right, because I showed you how to make basically your own view, add in any property you like, put in some filters, maybe, let's remove the unlicensed, for example. So we'll filter out the empty cells. We just added another one here. Now, if you like this view, it's very easy to save this configuration, this grid configuration, or this view basically. So what we do is we just create a custom view. We'll say blocked without licensed users. Okay, and by department, you can put in a description if you want, and you click on OK, and it's going to be listed on the left side over here. So that the next time, let's say when you use Sapio 365, you start off with this, general look, the general grid configuration. It's very easy to basically apply this view that we just saved. And there you go. It's quite simple. Everything is there for you. The shortcut. In fact, we can even create a report based on this view, because everything in Sapio 365 can be exported. I mean, whether you copy everything, copy paste everything, it's very easy to do, but you also have this function here to export. So if you export this, I'm going to show you. Basically, it looks exactly what the grid shows. And let me get back to here, Sapio 365, and I'll go back to the main page. I just want to show you that we can schedule this report, the exporting of this report through Sapio 365. And this is what we call in the grid view section. So here from the dashboard, we go to the grid view. And the quick grid view is basically a shortcut. We love shortcuts. with Sapio 365. So here you've got the same points of entry. So in our case, we'll go to users. And here on this side, you've got all those views that you saw on the left in users, including the one that we created, the blocked license users. So at this point, you can just basically create it, create the grid view that we just saw. You can save the settings, or you can even schedule it. So if I schedule it, I'll say, okay, give me a weekly report, run it on Mondays at this time, and use my role. Let me just collapse here. You can put in email notification. You say, put in a subject that makes sense, the report. You can even give yourself a little introductory text, and an email, error notification by email as well, just in case something doesn't go right. So once you have that, then you just save this, scheduled report on blocked licensed users. And you basically get it available right here on the right side. So you have it here, it's scheduled, tells you when it is, you can run it. You can load it and then run it. You can change the schedule or the configuration itself. There's a lot of flexibility here. So what this tells you is that you can create your own views, custom views, and actually use them as kind of a notification alerting system, if you will. Okay. And I think this, this is like this use case of managing Microsoft 365 licenses is basically it just shows you the main concepts of Sapio 365. Basically, you see everything in one place. You have the means to organize your data the way you want it. And then for the bulk actions that you take, because you see everything before and after, it's a much more safe way of doing bulk actions. So Paul, if we can go on to the next one.
Great.
So if you can share your slide.
I will share my slide. I just got to go get to it. There we go. All right, let me go to the sharing screen. Terrific. Our next case is about managing Microsoft 3. I'm sorry, it's not about that because we did that. We're going to, there we are. Yeah, that is it. We're going to manage Microsoft 365 licenses. This is a biggie because, of course,
I don't think you're sharing your, yeah, I hear you, but I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Okay. Well, let's try that again because, I'm the master of sharing. Not really.
Absolutely. Just don't leave us, Paul.
Just don't hang up. I know, because I love to hit the hang up button. Anyway, okay. Managing Microsoft 365 licenses. It's a biggie because, in a large organization, you may have licenses where people have been offboarded and they're unused. So let's take a look how to. Is it not licenses? I thought we just did that. Are you seeing it?
Yes. Perfect.
All right. Well, that was a test to see if you learned anything from the previous slide, if you remembered that. Okay, here's the answer. Adding an owner to teams with less than 2 owners. And of course, the first thing is to find those users, the teams with less than 2 owners. And then how can we fix that in bulk? That's the key, the theme of our webinar, in bulk. And then finally, if you've done that, creating a custom view and scheduling a report. And that's probably the key to everything you do in Sapio. Once you've got what you want, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've got a way for you to take what you've done and keep it, repeat it, schedule it, send it. That's the theme. Find it, fix it, repeat it, schedule it, send it. It's very powerful. Sonia, give us a look, if you would, please, at adding an owner to teams with less than 2 owners.
All right, so here I am sharing my screen. You should be able to see it. Well, we start with the dashboard just as a kind of, orientation kind of thing. So in this case, we're going to look at our groups and teams. So we'll use this one. I mean, I can easily go into this one too, but I just want to show what else is available. So if I click on groups and teams, you basically see the same kind of display as you saw with users. So you have all your groups here. You have columns that indicate which ones are teams, Yammer or Viva Engage now. You get to see the type of groups as well. So you've got the 4 types of groups, whether they're private or public, and a whole bunch of more information here, including the documentation, the SharePoint site library info. So if I pick this, then you can see how much storage they have, how much is used. So you can imagine all the kind of reporting you can do just from this view alone. Now, if we look for, if we want to see which teams, basically, how many owners do they have, and if they have less than 2, well, I can look up the owners over here. There's a property here that tells you the owner names, so you can find them here. But, we like to do things much faster. So we've created a view that's available on the left side over here, all the way down. And what happens if I apply this view, then basically we get a filter on the type, the team. So only teams are shown. And we get this column over here that basically calculates how many owner emails are in this column over here. So, and we have a filter on this one that basically any number that's smaller than 2. Well, this is just a view that's available. You can easily change this to what you need. You can remove, let's say, a filter on the teams, and just to have a different kind of team, a different kind of group that you want to set this view for. Anyway, so now that we have this information, I've selected these teams here for my demonstration purposes. And you can see here, this basically works like a sticky note. In SAP 365, you have the ability to add little sticky notes for yourself, as reminders, as of what you did, what you want to do, all that kind of thing. So here I'm going to select my teams, and basically I can edit them over here in this section here. And then again, once the relationships or content of teams and everything is all on this section. It's always the same type of layout, basically, for managing your data. So what I'll do is I'm going to retrieve the members. I can do the same thing with the owners, but I want to show you that you have the ability to manage members as well. So let's click on this. And we retrieve all the owners and members of these teams. And here I'm just expanding this column over here to show you, to indicate what type for each user listed under the team. Are they an owner or a member, or maybe both? And it's quite, I wanted to show you this because from here, you can manage the members and the owners using these buttons over here, whether you want to copy them from one to another or remove several all at once. So what we're going to do in this case, we're going to select them all because I know they have less than 1 anyway. Let's say in this case, I'm going to add myself as an owner because that's temporary solution maybe. So I'm going to select all these teams, and I'm going to click on this button, add owner. I'm going to look for myself by loading the directory. Okay. And add this. You can also look up others if you need to. It's like a little bucket of selection, what we call. So what happened here is that once I clicked on the OK, again, you have a preview of the changes that you're going to make before you actually commit them. So here you get to see for each of these groups, owner was added, Sonia. And this one, you can see that because I was already a member of this group, now I'm also going to be an owner as well. So once this is done, then you can review. If you need to, you can change your mind by clicking the undo. Or if you're good with everything, you can save either for just the group or save everything. So let's save this. Okay. Okay. And you can even promote some other ones, because maybe some groups, right, we need to have more than one owner. If you want to add more owners by promoting the current members, you can do that as well. You can just use this button. So think of it like you have everything visually available for yourself. So in terms of making mistakes, you have very little chance. Okay, so now what I was going to do is I was going to go back here into my view, and I was just going to refresh this information. Okay, let me just refresh this. Just loading the information about the owners once more. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. You know how Microsoft works. Okay. Well, what happened here is that we have a filter. So if I just remove this filter here, you will get to see these were my demo teams, and you can see that here I'm added to all these groups as an owner. It's indicated. And here you have it. And with the same principle in mind, if you like this and you want to create another view, you can just say, okay, so number is smaller than 2, but this time, let's say you want security groups. So for example, I'll remove this one, clear filters, and I'll say, I'll create a filter on the group type, and I'll just say, I just want the security groups. Right, so this may be an issue. Create this view. And save it. And here you have it here, and you know what? Let's favorite it. So it's always going to be at the top here. And now, if we go back to our Sapio 365 in the quick grid view, it's available for you. Now, here again are points of entry, in this case groups, where we just were, and select the view that was listed on the left side, which was it's favorited, so it's at the top, the security groups, and then basically schedule it as a report, just like we did for users. So it's that simple. And let's go on to our next use case, Paul.
Thanks, Sonia.
Oh, by the way, sorry, Paul, if anyone has any questions, please use the chat. We totally forgot to mention that you can ask us anything at any time.
Related to Sapio 365, of course. For this use case, this is one of the handiest things to do. Sonia will show us how to update the user info using an Excel file, which is very handy. And while she's going to update user info with this Excel file, I do want to add that this is not the only possibility when you've got a file that you need to make bulk changes. So, Sonia, I'll make sure people have time for questions, so I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so once more, we've got our users. Let's get our users, and I'm just going to open a new one here. Okay. And for this use case of updating user information, I'm going to do this on-prem. So this tenant that I'm connected to is actually a hybrid Active Directory. I want to showcase to you that if you do have a hybrid tenant, managing, making changes in Entra in bulk is just as easy to do with Active Directory as well. So here I'm just going to load my on-prem information. Sapio 365 basically reconciles all this. And what happened is these three columns show up, indicating which of these accounts are synced in cloud or on premises only. The idea is that we have to load this. If we're going to make any changes on-prem, we need to see the information because, you know, Sapio 365 is all about giving you a preview of your changes. And for that, we need to get this information. So now that we have it, what we're going to do is we're going to use, oops, sorry. We're going to use a view called demo. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just going to use this view here. Why? Because what I created with this view that I saved is if we scroll to the right, we get to see the on-premises fields that we want to update. So you've got your title, your office phone, your mobile phone on premises. On the right, on the left side, you have the same properties, but in Entra. So this is just to show that how we can compare them together. And that's why I want to use this view before I actually do the whole updating. Okay, so now this button will let us do the on-prem update. Okay, and I'm going to select my file. So this is the file I'm going to use, and just to show you a preview of this, it's just a regular Excel file. See, I mean, the headers could be anything you want as long as you know what they are, because we're going to be mapping these. Okay, so as you can see, the title, I called it role. So let's just use it. And now we do our mapping. So the important part is deciding which is the property that you want to use as a key. And we're going to use the user principal name, the username, and the email, which basically corresponds to that. So that's how it's going to figure everything all out. And then the next section is about deciding what is it that you want to update. So this I do not want to update. The email address is fine. I only want the title. And so I have my columns in the Excel file to choose from, which is role. You can see I did this before. Sapio 365 remembers a lot of things you do. So the department number, the department, I don't have this information, but I do have the office number, and the mobile phone is fine. And I believe there's the title role. Okay, so that's it. So we just check everything. Everything else is off. And once I click on OK, I get this because let's say if you are handed an Excel file from HR that has some users that are no longer in your tenant, well, you're going to get this because basically it couldn't find it in this view. Now, what's cool about this is that maybe that data is written wrong. Maybe there's like a typo or something. You were handed bad data. So what you can do is you can just create a skip file, what we call. Okay, and then basically use that skip file for later to handle on its own. So now that I've applied all that, again, you get to see which ones have been edited. And let me just click on the header here on the status, just so I can see all the ones that I've edited in one place. And because of the view that I applied, if I just scroll to the right, now you get to see the new values there shown in green, right? And even you can compare it with your Excel file if you like. And this is basically your preview of the changes. So again, you can say, you can undo some of them if you change your mind about it, or just simply save them all. In this case, I'm not going to save them because just to do all this. Oh, actually, you know what? I will save a couple maybe. Maybe I'll save this one. Yeah, I'll save Aiden. So I'm gonna save just the Aiden. And I just wanted to show Aiden because what changed here is his title, the software programmer, and his phone number. His phone numbers, everything changed for him, right? But in order to see it in the cloud in Entra, you basically have to force sync it or wait for the next force sync. Well, you don't have to actually wait with Zapier 365. You get to do this right from here. So I'm going to force sync this. Okay, let's wait a bit. Okay. And we'll do a refresh. Okay, let me just look up for Aiden. No, it's on the wrong column. You can look up very easily here. All right, so there's Aiden. There's Aiden. And if we look at this information, it hasn't been synced yet. Let's do another refresh. There you go. So now, software programmer, software programmer, and everything matches. Now, when you do the force sync, it takes a bit of time, so always keep that in mind. Okay, so now you make these changes in Zapier 365, but you know, if ever you make a mistake, the good news is that you can see what you actually changed. Let me go back to my dashboard here and go into the backstage console. Here on the right side, you have the opportunity to go in the backstage. Just go into preferences. So this is the back, basically. And there's a section here which is called user activity logs. So what this shows you is everything that you access or update with Zapier 365 is logged. So this is like a extra thing. It's not like it's like the audit logs in Entra. However, this is purely for Zapier 365. And so here I've got information about what I've changed. And remember our friend Aiden here, you get to see the previous value of what he had and the new value. So if any time you need to correct a mistake that you did, you have these here, and it's just a matter of doing again to fix it. And with this, I mean, this is a very easy way of doing updates. And this way, when you do this, you will have much more consistent data for your users. So for things like email signatures, I know are very popular these days, the email signature software. So it works really well with it. Let's go on to the next one, Paul.
Thanks, Sonia. We'll move to get to our last use case here. A use case about automatically disabling accounts. This is one of the things we've already built into Sapio for you. You know, when you offboard a user, there's a lot of things to think about. Like, of course, you want to block their access, but do you need to forward their email? Do you need to give someone else access to the mailbox? And perhaps more importantly, don't you want to recover those licenses? So in this last use case, Sonia will show us how to easily automate all of those tasks. Sonia?
Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so now we're back to our users grid over here because we're talking about offboarding. So what I'm going to do is I have a file basically of users that were sent to me that should be offboarded, right? And I'm not going to look them all up. I mean, I have just 3 for this demo purpose, but you can have way more. So we're gonna filter from a file first of all. Okay, so I'm gonna go here and filter from file. And I've got my file over here, just the email basically. And I'm going to use the username to map with the email. Okay, and these are my people that I'm going to offboard. And you can see that 2 of them are synced and 1 of them are in the cloud. Some of them have licenses. I'm sure they all belong to groups and so forth. So we want to offboard. Now on the left side we have our views, but on the in the section right next to it, hidden, if I switch to it, you have jobs. So these are automated tasks that you can use based on a selection that you do here or in general. So this is the job that we're going to use, the offboarding. So if I select them all and I run it, okay, now you have a whole bunch of categories to choose from for your offboarding options. So you've got your user details, your blocking sign in, resetting the password. You can even put them on litigation hold if you want to. Then you've got, if they're synced accounts, you can actually move them to another OU if you need to. If they don't have a manager assigned, then you can definitely assign a manager if it's not set, or just overwrite with a new manager for all of them. You've got a whole bunch of options here, whether they're cloud accounts or on-premises, the synced accounts. Then you can also convert them to a shared mailbox, enable their email archiving, put a forwarding email as well, You can also delegate the access to their mailboxes to someone else, whether it's the manager, to a user, or even to a security group. You can even copy the access that these three people have to mailboxes to someone new. So let's say that they are part of a support team and their tasks were given to someone else, you can give that mailbox access to another person as well. And in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the licenses. You can remove the roles if they're part of any admin roles, and you can remove them from groups. So you can select the type of group or remove them from all groups, including on-prem groups too, or synced accounts. You see, we're kind of like, even for hybrid situations, you can manage everything all in one shot. And I really love this one is if you don't want to lose any of those documents that people have in their OneDrives, you can basically download them to your machine, your laptop or server, or you can download them and then upload them to a team channel. A team channel will be created for each of those users, and you don't have to worry about from losing anything. So here I've got my licenses and my groups that I'm going to remove them from. And let me see, I'm just going to remove this one. Yeah, that's all I'm going to do here for this case. So here I am, it just goes off. So this is a case of where you don't have a preview of the changes because it's an automation, it's a workflow that requires saving to go on to the next one. Therefore, just a thing, a note of caution, if you're going to use automation, basically just test it out on the test user first. It's always my advice, and then you just go for it, And so what's going to happen at the end over here is we're going to get an Excel file with a summary of what was done. And this is why I wanted to just show this to you. Any questions, Paul, while we wait?
No, I don't see in the chat at the moment. I do want to mention while this is running, this is a lot to take in, and I appreciate your time looking at it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What I would suggest is go to our download page, download a free trial of this. It runs on your local machine. There's no server needed. Everything is on your laptop. So you can try this out and explore. It's fully functional. So run a job or two, get in there and see what you can do, because there's so much here that we can't even show you in this short time. So I do encourage you just to try it out. We're just touching some highlights, but there is so much more. You may have noticed there's tons of jobs and views. So please check it out. Sonia?
Okay, thanks, Paul. So here's the Excel file that basically told us what happened here. So licenses were removed from 2 because 1 was already on license. Groups were removed. So you've got a whole lot of details here, from what was done with this job. Basically, this is what I wanted to end with. And
Great.
well, I think let's wait to see if we have some questions.
All right. That sounds like a deal. Thank you, everyone. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the chat, or we'll stick around for a moment or so. And you can visit us on the website, and or you can email us at the email that you see on the screen. Again, I thank you, and I encourage you to download the trial. It's the best way to see all the stuff we can do. I wish we could demonstrate everything Sapio could do, but I know you wouldn't want to be with us for 8 hours. So check it out. Thanks again, and we'll be
Thanks,
around for a
everyone.
minute or so before we say goodbye. But thank you, everyone, for attending.